Hello and welcome to the second episode of Commander's Q&A. You asked for it, it existed, and now it's back for a second episode. And wow, what a response I got. So many amazing questions, so much great feedback, really blown away. I thought maybe I'd get 3 or 4 questions, but look, my second monitor, which is where I have the questions, the show got 36 comments. That is fantastic, and 118 likes. So thank you very much. You guys clearly want more. So I guess I gotta keep making more. But to keep the show going quickly and to make sure it doesn't go too long, we're gonna stick with the first 10 questions and try and get through those and try and give decent answers to each one. And before we get into that, just a quick thing: I am wearing Captain Foley, Stuart Foley's Christmas present to me, an amazing tactical away team jacket thing, which was a fantastic thing to get over Christmas. And for each Commander's log, Commander's Q&A, I might be changing what I'm wearing to something else geeky, and it will not always be Star Trek. It probably most of the time won't be Star Trek. So look forward to seeing what else I'll be wearing or doing in the episode. So first question from Barry Holmes, and he's asking: the ships of Star Trek versus Stargate, who would win? Now, that is a great question and a hell of a one to start on, because I love Stargate. Stargate is where I sort of started Star Trek started, but Stargate was my big fandom for ages. Very different universes, very, very different universes. I think certain races in Stargate could probably do very, very well against Star Trek ships. The Atlantis with 3 ZPMs, I mean, I don't know how it compares to a warp core, but it feels like the way they survive the amount of hits the Wraith deal, that shield's probably more powerful than anything into the Star Trek world. So I'm guessing some of the higher end ships, the Asgard tech, Asgard beams, I'm thinking all that stuff could probably do a hell of a lot of damage against Trek ships. I mean, drones, they can pass through shields, so any ancient ship, a few tactical shots can take out a Starfleet ship. But I think the simpler ships, the Gould, the Prometheus, Lucian Alliance, all those ships, I think quantums, shields, phasers, those sorts of weapons, I think we'll probably be able to rip through them as well. So it's the advanced guys are still advanced in Stargate, and I think shield technology is probably stronger in Stargate just because of the power management of ZPMs. I think I'm guessing that's what I'm gonna say. But it's a great question, and I would love to do more verses and actually see these ships fight. I know some people, I know there are technical specifications of what exactly the weapon kilojoules are at, but I think a lot of it is about what your gut says about how you see these ships fight. But it'd be an interesting test. So thank you, Barry. Next question is from Steve Dongu. That's what I'm going with. Congratulations for your new feature. Thank you. Wonderful. Ship-related question here. In the various Star Trek incarnations, how many actual shipwrights do we meet? I recall one in the TOS episode. Is there truth, no beauty, but do we ever meet any others? That is such a memory alpha question, but thank you. I don't think we'll meet any specific designers of ships. We know that Cisco had design input in the Defiance, so you could count him, I suppose. Leah Brahms was a warp engineer for the Galaxy program, so you could count that as well. I don't think we ever meet any specific runabout designer or Galaxy designer, but I know we met quite a few people who helped design pieces and parts, but I don't think any specific shipwrights. But thank you for the question. The next question is about Transwarp from Tam J, and Trekyards, which is Stuart, replied, yes, we're doing Transwarp. That Transwarp fact file will be out soon-ish. Just got to make it, but we are almost finalised, and it's very informative. I learned lots while recording it and while re-listening to it. So yes, be fun when we get to it. Next question from Wake Roberts. Good evening, Commander. It is evening, so good evening to you. Congratulations on the new spin-off. Thank you. My first question to you would be, who do you think was the worst Starfleet Admiral? Perhaps this could even be a question considered in a top 10, just a thought, smiley face. Absolutely. Worst Admiral. There's some pretty bad ones. My gut would say go straight for the Admirals that were taken over in Season 1 of TNG with those parasites, but those obviously weren't in command of their faculty sort of thing. So I think I'd be tempted to go with Admiral Marcus from the JJ films, because any Section 31 agent is a dubious moral landscape anyway, and that's affects the principles of Starfleet, which we all hold so dear. We fictional. No, I think because he abused Khan's knowledge and built this ship, was stupid enough to have it on his desk. I mean, I think in terms of worst overall, he was a bit of a mean guy. I guess he got what was coming to him, but he wanted to take the war to the Klingons, even though all throughout Trek we've never seen that real let's go defeat them first. That was a serious step beyond Star Trek Beyond. That's a serious step beyond what we would, or the Federation would have done. So I think he represents some of the worst aspects of the Federation and Starfleet, and therefore I say he's one of the worst admirals. But thank you for the question. From Samuel McCosh, another Samuel, hello there. Behind the scenes question, awesome, that is my area of expertise. Are there any Americanisms or Canadianisms that frustrate you in the script, show, or British wit that doesn't translate well when you talk with El Capitano or a guest? Well, speaking of British wit, Andrew Probert, who we all love, he has a very much a British sense of humour, so we get on very well with him. In terms of Americanisms and Canadianisms, I mean, we all speak English, roughly, and we're all talking a different style of language. When it's scripted, it's very much semi-techno babble, official sort of formal language, so I don't think that, I think that is basically one-to-one. There's never any problems with that. When we go improv, then sometimes a joke doesn't necessarily pay off, or sometimes Stuart says something about a brand, no idea. But very few of those. It's the Canadian. Obviously, I work mostly with Stuart, and I think the Canadian and the British culture are much closer than you think, and as such, mostly all translates. So that's great. And Americanisms, again, if you bring in a guest, it's very focused what we talk about with them, in terms of the ships or the design. So pretty much it's always the same language. It's kind of surprising how really on the same page we always are. Captain Lakiwa, hello Captain Lakiwa, and he says a great little comment here, but it's a Q&A show, so his question is, computer specifications, ... what, ... are ... they. Well, I can answer that. I already got the computer stats prepped. Now this is, remember, I had an original computer, which was the first 50 episodes or so, that's there. And then the new computer, which was for the Indiegogo, you guys helped support the show to buy a amazing new PC, and Brian Heat helped supply the processor, which saved us a lot of money, and really, it's a very, very fast computer now. It does renders beautiful fast. That's why you're getting so many more renders per episode and a higher resolution and whatnot. It is an i7 Intel Core processor. It's the i7 5820K CPU, which is 3.30 gigahertz. 16 gigabytes of RAM, although I do want to improve that. I'm using an NVIDIA Quadro K2220 and a Quadro K2200 graphics card, which doesn't. We wanted to go CUDA for enhanced performance in terms of After Effects and Premiere, which is my editing solutions for green screen and effects and video editing respectively, and it does sort of work. It's better than the previous computer by far, but doesn't help it as much as it could do. Hopefully we can upgrade again at some time in the future and we can get even stronger video card, which can really increase the times, because the episodes of Trekyards are very limited in resolution by the amount of time it takes to render. That's a reason why we don't do 1080p videos, because the amount of time that rendering a 1080p video that's half an hour or a full hour, if they're two parts, you want to do the complete version, I mean, you're looking at hours of render time at a good high resolution, at a good high bit rate, and if that's every week, that's multiple times. I mean, that does take a lot of time when the computer's basically used. There's nothing else you can really do apart from word processing or bits and bobs. So, and also the animations are then going to be much higher resolution just to fit the box. That's a nice side note of why we can do so many, why I can do so many, is because 720p and then that amount of the screen is the animation, so it lets me do a nice lower resolution animation but a really high quality of anti-aliasing. That's why they look so good. So it strengths and weaknesses, but if we got a really meaty card that made those renders even quicker, then possibly 1080p, which obviously I know you guys want for the big screens, so probably in the future but not quite yet. But thank you for the question, and I hope that helps. And I'm using Windows 7. There you go. Mark Lawrence, are you guys ever going to cover any TOS animated ships? There were some interesting ones in there that may have ended up in TOS had not been cancelled so quickly. Animated series is an interesting one because obviously it's a single series. They could do whatever they wanted in terms of the animation. There are some interesting ships. You got Tug, which we have an Eagle Moss model of, which we'll probably cover at some point. With all Trekyards shows, it's a balance between getting a ship that we want to cover, that the audience definitely wants us to cover, and that will get us enough views and therefore the YouTube revenue, because it's a very sort of knife's edge of how much we need to keep this going, and YouTube sort of fluctuates. And so if we release a video that only 1,000 people are going to watch, that really affects our money, and that affects the ability, the confidence that we have to actually keep the show going. So we have to pick popular ones and ones that we know we're going to do. So if you guys really want to see the animated series episode and we're going to really watch it and share, then absolutely let us know. But it's definitely not a priority. I mean, there's a lot of ships to do, and we still haven't done some famous ones. So we are, as we've said with all ships, you guys ask, are you doing the ship? And we say yes at some point, because there's a lot of ships and we'll get to them all eventually. But thank you for the question. Daniel Briggs, room tour, both you and the captain. That will happen. I know Stuart just released his own tour, and I've seen a previous video tour because I've watched a lot of his content, so it's nice to see an updated one. And my space, I have an office in this house. I have a bedroom and an office which I converted, and I've got my monitor set up, and then just sort of stuff. I'll do a separate video if you guys really want to see a room tour. It's a very small room, it's actually very, very small, and a lot of it's with props and Eagle Moss stuff. But I can do it at some point, although we'll break the magic a bit, because I like just showing the background, like this is my box world sort of thing. So if I break the illusion, it might get confusing, but I know doing a behind the scenes video, and that will show the setup I have. So at some point, yes, but not for this video. And next question is from a starship, I guess. On YouTube, the name is USS Arcanus. Nice to get a question from a starship. Bit novel. And he says, first off, great Q&A. I have two questions. One, how can I get my ship the States class on Trekyards? Well, that is something we do, because we know a lot of fans love their designs and put hundreds of hours into those designs, and we want to support those guys. If you want a full episode on Trekyards, all the details, animations if you have a 3D model, which take a while to do, extra background research done with you to really flesh out the background of the ship, to really make it feel part of canon, working with myself and Stuart, and then getting the full episode, that can be done. We have a show for that. It's called Trekyards Originals. We've done one on the Terrorbird, which was amazing. We're doing another one on the Polaris class with Michael Wiley, the amazing model designer, or model builder and designer, I suppose. It is a service we offer, but because it's a whole separate process of time, and obviously doing the animations, because if it's an original ship, there is no footage to go back on. There is no pictures that a fan has done. It's all original material made by me exclusively. So it takes a lot longer to make. So we do require a donation for doing the episode. So you need to email trekyards@hotmail.com with your ship, with what you might want to do, with if you've got a 3D model, that'd be amazing. And then we can say how much it would cost to actually make that show. But we love doing it. We love supporting the fans. So if you have a design you just want to see, even if it's 2D, I mean, we can do things around that. Let us know at trekyards@hotmail.com. Say, Trekyards Original and your ship name, and maybe we can do an episode on your ship, and you get it viewed by thousands of amazing fans, just like you and you and you. So there you go. Question answered there. SatQuest, hi SatQuest, big commenter there. Any chance you can get a high quality uniform to the log in? Yes. I have many uniforms, just not Star Trek ones. I have 2 Star Trek uniforms and one that needs to be modified. I was looking at it, it's over there. Needs to be modified because it was bought bigger than me, so it has to be actually made, because most Trek, all Trek uniforms are form-fitting, and that one very, very obviously wasn't. So we want to do some of this stuff in uniform. The 50th anniversary specials we really want to do in uniform, because we think it would add an extra bit of geeky fun to it, but we need to do fundraising for that to earn the money to actually get these costumes bought and or retailored to our sizes, because the Patreon and the YouTube money, that covers basic bills, that covers just the time to make the show. Anything beyond that has to be separately fundraised, because it's like the show is the standard, and that's what pays for funds the show, but anything bonus. But we'd love that. And we certainly would love to do the uniform, the show in a uniform. So if you guys want to see us in uniform for some specials, which we very much want to do, let me know in the comments below. Would you support $10, $5, $50, or even just buy the full uniform for us? We're not going Avos, because that's hundreds of dollars, and we're not expecting to raise that. And besides, we'd rather have that to actually fund the show itself. So we are looking for sort of cheaper equivalents, but that will still look good. So we do want to, and there will be some form of uniform in the future for Commander's Q&A, but not necessarily Star Trek, and that's a fun tease there. And we're only at 15 or 17 minutes, so I'm going to answer a few more questions, because I'm going through them quicker than I thought. So even more questions. Next question from Carmelo Elman, or Militron. Have you ever played Space Engineers? If so, what do you think about it? It's a pretty cool game. It is incredible what people have built, like the USS Enterprise B. As always, keep up the great work. Well, thank you. I have played Space Engineers briefly. I believe it was in more of a when it was in more of a beta state, and I played a bit of it. but I haven't got much time for gaming. I do a lot of work animating and editing, and I don't really get much free time. This is Trekyards takes quite a long time to make, so I don't get much time to game, but I have played a little bit and I enjoyed it. But like I say, it takes a long time. I have enjoyed watching videos from it, however. You can just, as I said, some great stuff, and I saw a great video with Enterprise D, no, it's the Enterprise A, fighting a bird of prey, and they put the engines in and they were flying them, well, cumbersome because you can't fly with too much grace in that game, and it was fun to see them fire the weapons, and then the armor gets blown away as the weapons go, and see how the damage. And that was a fun video. So love seeing the videos with that. Same with Kerbal Space Program. Great to see the mods and what people can do, because I love the modding community. You guys know from the top 10, I love the modding community. Support them as much as I can, or at least download their work, because I want to keep the work because it's incredible. It shouldn't go to waste, sort of thing. And next question is from EDF Parts. Cool. Hey, this is Gene. Hi, Gene. I'd like to say it's about time you're doing a little Commanders Q&A. Well, thank you. You could say it took long enough, but busy man. But really, when are you guys going to do an episode on characters that hooked up in Star Trek and their relationships? Also, when will you guys make a show about the terrible ships of Star Trek? The ships that just look awful. Possibly. I like the awful ones, but then that's all subjective, because we've all got personal opinions on what we think looks good or not. So what I think looks awful, Stuart might think that's amazing. So possibly oddest, maybe oddest faster designs, or Starfleet battles, because they have some very odd kitbash ships back in the 70s, 80s, and whatnot. So that will probably happen at some point. I know Stuart wants to do more Starfleet battle stuff, which would be great. In terms of characters that hooked up in Star Trek, I mean, that is not very Trekyards related. We do ships mostly. That's our passion, and tech. And top 10s are kind of our bonus love letter to the fans of giving you more fun content, seeing us do our thing. And then Captain's Log is Stuart's way of sharing his knowledge. Q&As are you guys can ask me questions, because I'm, I suppose, a lesser seen half of Trekyards. So it might be in a podcast, maybe. But I mean, I don't know. It's we're the Trek tech geeks, I suppose. So guys hooking up, it's fun, but it's not necessarily what the show's about. And then Barbara Seifer did comment about the second worst storyline of TNG was Worf and Troy. Yeah, not a huge fan of those guys. But, Troy ended up with Riker. It was destined to be, I wonder if you'd asked Gene Roddenberry at the start, because he set up that relationship. I wonder if he actually wanted them to end up together or not. If you know, comment below. Next, questions from Stuart Lynn's Sexton's Frontier Zone books. Okay. What was your favourite non-canon ship, if any? That is a great question, but there is so many non-canon ships, it's unreal. We've just done our top 10 fan ships, so that would be part of that, and my top one was the Klingon battleship from Renegades, I'd think there. That's an amazing design. The Ares is amazing from Axnar. I like a lot of the game ships. If you look at the background, now you guys are seeing it bigger screen, you can actually sort of dissect what's in the background, but it's all canon ships, apart from the it is in frame, the Premonition from Star Trek Armada 2. It's basically a Sovereign with a third nacelle, Dreadnought Sovereign, but I think it's a great looking design. It's a great little evolution. So that's a fun non-canon. I do quite like Michael Wiley's Polaris class. Really interesting. When I saw it as a picture and I asked who designed this, and he said he did. Such an interesting. That's how I would push that design aesthetic, and it hit a nerve with me. So that I love. Ironically, I love Andrew Probert's Ambassador class. That's not a canon ship design. It was never seen on screen as it is as the full form. That's an amazing design. Really difficult. You're basically asking, is there a fan or invented ship out of the thousands that I love? And that's a very difficult question. We need to do an episode on that, see if we can pull some out of the ether. But yeah, I mean, not fans do create some interesting designs. Some are really well thought out, some are not, some go a bit too far from the aesthetic, I think, some are just kit bashes. It's a whole plethora. I love that Trek has expanded over the last year, that fans are always daily sharing their own designs, and we see basically, and as obviously we check the channel all the time and check the Facebook, I'm seeing every version of every design of every kit bash. It's just wow, there's so much creativity out there, and I know Stuart likes designing the occasional ship, and I've had a few sort of ideas, but it's like everyone's done everything. What is there left to do? Because I like the classic aesthetic. I like the tuna cells. I like the pylons. I like the standard thing. And to to make your own version, I think is a well done for you guys. I'll probably do it at some point. I'm sure you guys would love to see what is Commander Cocking's original ship, knowing how I get into the ship design and in terms of the tech and 3D and all these things. I'd love to know what I'd come up with. Probably something Prometheus-y. You guys know I love Prometheus. So maybe at some point, but I hope I answered your question just about. And the next question is from Cuban Writer. I think we'll end on this one because he asks a couple of questions, and that leaves a good few for next time. Quite a lot of questions actually, but we'll take it slow, take it slow, gentle. But his first question is, if you had to marry a character, not actor, from a Trek series, who would you marry and why? Interesting question. Good one to end on. Very Trekyards related. Who do I have soft spots for? I like Ezri Dax. I've met Nicola Dubois a couple of times. Last of which we interviewed her for Trekyards Live, which was great. We had a really nice rapport there. She's cute. Very, very cute, and the character's adorable. I like bubbly people, I like bubbly women, so that would definitely be ask her on a date. I don't know who would I marry. Although marrying a Trill, I don't know, that's literally a lot of baggage there with how many people. Well, then you also have Carol Marcus from the new J.J. Abrams Into Darkness, and she's also very, very cute and bubbly and fun. So it's probably a toss up between those two guys. From J.J. marrying, I guess Carol Marcus, and then if it's prime time, I guess Ezri Dax. So I hope that answers your question, but that is the last question for this week, because we're at 20 however many minutes. Is there anything I want to say about Trekyards? Well, at the moment, I'm rendering a fun animation which you guys should see very, very soon. It's Fleet Yards related, and it's been a lot of fun, and thank you for Michael Wiley again for another 3D model. Amazing work he does, and it's great that he can share it with the community and help us at Trekyards. Yeah, and as always, guys, we need your help to keep this show going. Well, not this show might keep going or not keep going, but main Trekyards, because it takes so much time to make the show, and fundamentally, this is what I do full time, and it's a lot of time and bills to be paid, and just to justify the time, we need more support. So if you guys can, please do go to our Patreon page at, I'm sure, Patreon/Trekyards, and give whatever you can for a monthly donation or for a one-time donation, because again, that is the lifeblood of this show, which you guys, a lot of you, watch every single week as your own TV show, your own web show. And come on, guys, this is the only weekly Trek on the internet. I mean, there's the big budget Axon, the big budget Horizon, all those amazing stuff that comes out occasionally, but Trekyards there every single week, and you guys seem to love it. So I think that's it for this week, and I'll be interested to see what I'm going to be wearing next week. So if you guys have any more questions, I will answer the rest next time. Probably not another full week, because otherwise the next video will have even more questions, so you might see me in a few days with even more great... I mean, you guys have some great questions, really, really great questions. Very diverse and very interesting, and a lot of fun ones. So probably answer those soon. If you have any more questions, anything about the background, anything about the computer setup, anything about any future episodes, maybe I'll give some teasers, who knows, then ask away on this video, and I'll be on a future Commanders Q&A. So that is it for this week. Hope you enjoyed me rambling. I don't know how much I rambled, hopefully just the right amount. And as always, guys, check out other videos on this channel: Captain's Log, Trekyards Mission Briefing, Top 10, everything we do. And until next time, guys, Commander Cockings, have a great week. See ya.